It's the mic. Waterloo for the win. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Can't believe it's been another week and more miles. So with that said, let's get to it. My name is June. If this is your first time tuning in, we like to cover faith, family, fitness, but essentially this is my journey in running for the past year or so. If you're returning, appreciate it. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Please like, comment, subscribe. Love to have you back. But I wanted to cover there's going to be 20, but in this video, we're going to cover 5 must-know terminologies or terms for running. So if you're new, let's get to it. So a term that you are going to hear often is pace. So pace is the time that it takes to cover a distance. In this case, in the US is miles, and the rest of the world is kilometers. But you're going to hear this a lot. So when someone comes to you or your watch or anything like that will say, your pace for 1 mile was 10 minutes, or if you're really good, right, you're going to be in the 5, 6, 7s. So that is pace. So when I started last year, my first mile in October 2024 was about 13:40. Now I'm averaging between 9 and 10. And the goal is to obviously get into the lower range of 7 to 8. But when your watch tells you a pace or an average pace, right, it'll take the cumulative miles and give you a time. Pretty easy. All right. Number 2 term that you will hear often is cadence, which in Spanish is cadence. I don't know. I made that up. It just sounds cool. But cadence, so that is the number of steps that you take in a minute. Often correlates with stride or your stride length and the frequency. And I'll get to stride in just a moment. But the slower your pace, right, the lower the cadence. At least that is my experience. For myself, a good number to be in is in the 170, 180 range. And obviously the faster, the higher that will go. But when I'm out running, all right, as I'm getting into my groove and into my comfortable pace, I am ensuring that my cadence is in the 170s. How I determine that? So I use a Coros Pace 3 watch. And it is set up so that it gives me cadence average, pace average, time, and a couple other features that I'll probably cover on another video. But great watch, and I use it to keep me on track. Pretty easy. Number 3. So as I mentioned, right, the stride. So the stride is the distance covered while you're taking a step. You'll hear different things like overstriding, right? It's something that you will probably hear, and something that I was doing. So last year in June for my half marathon, as I was reviewing footage, photos and videos that my family took, I noticed that I was overstriding. And the way I noticed was that my heel was striking first. And then the rest of the foot would follow. At least in my experience, 1, I'm using more effort. 2, it does cause, at least for me, cause my legs to start hurting a bit. So a good mindset is to try and strike either in the center or the front of your foot, right, as you're stepping. And that is something that I am actively paying attention to now that I'm working on lower miles, faster time, and better form. So at least for me, it did take some time. And the way that I like to picture it is I like to keep my feet and arms, I like to picture them in a box. And I try to keep the stride of my foot at the length of my arms. So it's been working for me. And I do like to go out and take videos and then review it just to ensure that, I'm getting better. So work smarter, not harder. I made that up right now. All right. Number 4, PR or PB. So that stands for personal record or personal best. So when you hear that, that is someone that is measuring the time that they ran a certain distance, right? So whether it's 3, 5, 13, 18, marathon, whatever it is. And that is their record that they ran in that time. So one thing, right, that you'll hear either influencers online or anyone running that'll say, I'm going for a PB, I'm going for PR. That means that they're trying to beat their previously recorded time. So pretty simple, pretty easy. If you run a mile in 10 minutes, I don't know how many kilometers that is, but if you run that in 10 minutes and that is your best, right, next time you go out and you can say, I'm trying to beat, right, I'm trying to get a PB or PR on a mile run. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Last but not least in this part 1 video, interval training. So interval training is going to be a training or running session that includes short bursts or high intensity training mixed in with either a rest period or a lower intensity training all in one. So an example, part of an interval training I had this week was I started with a easy mile, right? And I think it was around 9:50, so 9 minutes 50 seconds. And then the following 4 miles was half a mile at 8 minutes 50 seconds or so, and then half a mile back at 10 minutes. And then I did that for 4 miles, and that was a 5-mile interval training session. The great thing about interval training is that it works on or improves the endurance and your speed. So that is my main focus going into this training block for November. And stay tuned because I have some amazing news that I'll mention once we get closer to December and we start training seriously. Going for all the marbles. There it is. There you have it. 5 must-know running terms, part 1. And I bring this up because these were things I learned weeks or months into my training, hobby or sport, running, whatever you want to call it. So I want to ensure that us new runners know what to look for. With that said, this week I have one more training session that should be completed by the time you see this video, and that should give me a 25 or 30 mile week depending on how I feel, with 2 interval training sessions. Overall, I feel good, I feel great, looking forward to just becoming better. So hopefully this has been a good week for you. If it's not, tomorrow gets better. As always, my name is June. Peace and love. Adios.